This week, I spin out in an insane recovery race. Oh, for f***'s sake. Will we finally get out of B? And getting my elbows out in a three-way battle for the lead. Wagwan, it's your boy, SUH, and we are back for another episode of this Gran Turismo Road to Glory as we try to ascend to the promised land of A. And this week, we're on Road Atlanta. This is a no-stopper on racing softs using the Group 3 machinery. Now, this race has been since patched. I believe it's actually a required one stop, so you actually can't do this race anymore. This race does not exist. It only existed for a day before Polyphony changed it, and it actually made for some really interesting racing, especially in these lower ranks. And we're going to talk a little bit about that as we go into this video. But as we can see, we are back into race 1. Qualified pretty well in a P5, just trying to navigate all of the turn 1 carnage, as is always the case with these videos. And yeah, this was a really pivotal stream. We were literally a slither off A. The main target for this stream was to finally break into A. For those that haven't watched this series all the way through, essentially we started off in C, top of C, and the whole goal was to get into A+ using a wheel, see if I can kind of break that barrier. I used a controller for absolutely ages and could never seem to get any better than like the top of B, bottom of A, but it started off pretty questionably. Bruh. Kept it on. Oh, for f***'s sake. Oh, okay, cool. It's all right, we're still in the game. So you can kind of see what I was thinking there, just trying to manage the race, not have any more mistakes. One spin already. We're in lap 2 here. You can see making a lot of gains on Juan in front. And my bad. That was a dive and a half. Yeah, what an L from my part. To be honest, I knew as soon as I did that, that was a mistake. And then one mistake leads to another spin, and it's only lap 3. And you can see we're absolutely just tumbling down the order there from, what was it, a P4, a P5 at the start, now down to a P14. Now, in my mind, not all was lost. I'm not the type to quit. Obviously, the series is all about getting my DR up. As we can see there, another track limits penalty. It's all going wrong. I just needed to reset. The possibility of getting a neutral DR haul in this race was not over. So that's kind of what we set our goal towards as we were making up a place there up to P13. There was going to be a lot of shenanigans in this race. A lot of people using the off meta, and that tyre wear, it's going to come into play a little bit later. You're probably thinking, why on earth are you showing me a race where you are P13? You just wait and see. This one's proper carnage. Oh, let's go! I did not slow down for no one through there. Yeah, I was not waiting for anyone there. I was like, you know what? I'm going to full throttle and I will suffer the consequences after the fact. Anyway, as you can see, we're going on to lap 5 here, making some places already. You can see P10 and P9 straight in front of us. Juan, who we had the collision with earlier, we've already caught up to him. So you can see we have the pace here, using all the track and then some, literally mounting the grass. The track limits on this track were very strange. At some points in the track, you go off and you would not get anything, and then at other points you would barely go off and then you'd get a fat penalty. Famine, is that then the person's name? Famine GT Planet? Is it Famine, or I don't know. 8-second penalty. What on earth is that person doing to get 8 seconds? Must be like, I don't know, must be drinking and driving. No drinking and driving on the racetrack, my friend. Look, it goes off. Yeah, must be drink drive with that type of maneuver. And that gives us the opportunity to go ahead and make the move up to P7. Just again, slowing it down, making sure not to go into the back of him. I already learnt my lesson, but that does mean we can slip up and get P8 on Arsene Wenger himself. What can I say, Arsene? Go back to Saudi, lad. You know, this isn't for you. This isn't your sport. And yeah, at this point in the race, lap 7, I'm just kind of thinking, you know, let's kind of slow down on the tyres. I've already span out twice. I want to make sure I get to the end of this race, at least with something going into the last lap. And we were just focusing on gaining on Juan here, gaining. And as you can see, we finally bring back that delta, and we are right on his ass. And now this is for P6. I don't know if someone left or whatever. You can see I'm literally touching his bumper. What an insane recovery race from, what was it, P13 or P14? And now look, we're going to make the move on P6. Just so we have a bit of tyre left for the end of the race. And that's P6. What? From P14 down to P6. This is an unbelievable recovery race, guys. So not only have we managed to get a neutral driver haul at this point, but we've also managed to get a significant increase on our driver rating. An absolutely unbelievable race. Honestly, the consistency after the little early shenanigans proper setting in, and now we are going to go ahead and set our eyes on speedy consoles up ahead, and I am absolutely dialed in. When I start doing that jaw movement and all the tongue movement, and you know, my head starts moving and swaying like I'm in the car, that's how you know it's serious gamer moments here. It's gaming time. No, Mom, go away. It's gaming time.
We know what game plan we're playing. This is probably P5 end of the race unless someone spins out or has some shenanigans. So let's just take our time. Guy behind us got a good gap. Still have a little bit of tyre left as we go into these final 3 laps. And you can see I have the speed. I'm in his slipstream. Yeah, what did John Cena say? No, not that. Not that. It was about your time is now. Anyway, we are skipping down to Sector 3 now, and you can see Speedy Consoles. We are in his slipstream, and it is time to pounce. There's absolutely nothing he could do against this here. P5 was ours. We had the pace against him, and boom, just like that. P5, guys. What an unbelievable race so far. We're already up to P5. We still have 3 laps to go. So what can we do here? Can we catch up to P4? That is the big question. You can see I can finally see P4 in the distance. I believe he is in the M6 Sprint. So not the Endurance, the Sprint. I don't know actually if there's any difference between the cars there. But you can see literally right ahead of us. That gap now down to 9/10 of a second. But on the straights, he just seems to get away from me at this point in the race. I turned on the traction control just to try to eliminate any unnecessary wear to the tires, and unfortunately for me, this is how the race ended. I got closer and closer and closer, and I think if I had one more lap, I could have potentially have made the move, but it wasn't meant to be. I kind of backed off towards the end of the race, and a P5 is what it ended up being. Let's go, a P5. Let's go. That's gas. Oi, that's the most gassed race we've had today. What? After we spun, we recovered to a P5. That's an unreal race. Yeah, a truly mental race. A P4 would have been on the cards. Lord knows what we would have had if we didn't mess up earlier on in that race. But this was a huge race in this stream, in this whole series. The real question is, can we do it? Will this next race put us into A? So here we go into race 2 then. We qualified pretty well at a P3. Overall, my qualifying seems to be pretty good. If you give me a bit of time in the quali time trials, I can usually get a pretty good quali time in these kind of lobbies. Guy ahead of us is in the C7 as we go to lights out. So it's all about making sure we can stay on his tail. The C7 is going to be a lot faster in the early stages compared to the M6. I thought about it. I have a little bit of a look on the inside, but you know, obviously I learned my lesson from the last few races. French dude here goes off. He's going to get a track limits for that, though. Those track limits on that curve specifically are an absolute birdman. So as we're coming up to the final sector of the first lap of this race, we get the move done as he takes his penalty, and we go up to a P2. P1 is right in sight. Now, I know P1, he had the sprint model version of the M6, so I'm not actually sure if that is going to make a particularly lot of difference, especially in the early stages of this race, but hopefully towards the end, obviously I'm using the endurance model, we can kind of pounce. Hopefully the tyre wear actually does make a difference. But yeah, honestly at this point I knew it was going to be a race of attrition. Didn't want to make any silly mistakes like I did before, so it was just a case of not messing up, keeping the car on the road. Just settle into the race. Settle into the race, because we know about the spinning out. We've done that a lot. He's 1.5 seconds ahead, but this is a race where you just need to not, you know, fall over yourself basically. So you can kind of hear my thought process as we skip overhead to lap 4. The Corvette still on my rear bumper. I go a little bit wide in the moment. I didn't realize how wide I'd actually gone, and we're going to get a track limits for that. So again, just little mistakes. I think literally I could have been millimeters off the track there because I felt like I hit that corner the same way a lot of times later on in the race, but didn't get a penalty for it. So yeah, it is what it is. We move on. And as you can see,
see, I'm literally like bumper to bumper scraping arches with the French dude here. I didn't want to lose too much time. I knew battling him was not going to do any good for my tyres in the long run. And as we served this penalty, we literally couldn't be any closer. I think because of that, we actually didn't lose as much time maybe if we were a bit further back. So overall, for 5/10 for what it was, we'll absolutely take that. We've got plenty of time to bring back this race. So we're fast forwarding here again. After the track limits penalty, I just didn't want to make any huge mistakes really. You know, you sometimes when you get track limits or you get any penalty of sorts, you can kind of have one mistake which leads to another. But unfortunately for the German dude, he goes straight into the wall.
Nope. Oh, first to span out.
I was absolutely gassed about that one. It completely changes the dynamic of this race because I knew I was faster than P1. He was going to come back to me towards the end of this race. But the guy behind me had some serious pace. I didn't realize how fast he was kind of creeping up on me, but he was creeping up on me very, very fast. As we go into lap 7 here, you can see he's literally right on me. It's all getting a little bit spicy as we go into the final half of this race then. Literally 3/10 on my back bumper. Keep an eye on that radar. It's going to be very important for you to keep an eye on that radar. It's a little bit skidding, squirrely. Bit of oversteer as we go into the S's, I believe this is called the S's, and we get another track limits penalty. So that's a second worth of track limits which we've got right now. And with that, the German driver, this isn't the same guy who span out earlier, by the way. He goes ahead and takes the lead. Now, the only thing with that, I was a little bit worried that he was going to go off into the distance. As you can see, I'm turning on my traction control here just to make sure our tires make it to the end. I was a bit worried with the guy but in front because he actually had some serious pace. I know he didn't have the fastest lap at this point, but he did have some serious pace. As you can see, he's kind of like catching up to the C7 right on his bumper. That's only going to be good for us because that means obviously they're going to battle, which means that presents an opportunity for us to get involved in this P1 battle here. And as you can see, that's exactly what happens as they're almost side by side going into the final corner as we enter lap 10, and it's a 3-way battle for the lead in these final 3 laps. Oh, literally barging each other there. He gives him a bit of a flash. I saw an opportunity, went down the inside, and oh. Yeah, I don't really know. I have to watch that one back. I did intend on swooping around the outside. I did intend on doing that. But I don't know whether I was cutting it a bit fine or not. So yeah, in the moment, I thought this might have been my fault because it was pretty aggressive. You don't really see people go on that side of the track that often. But now, having watched it, I was far enough alongside. Could he have slowed down? Maybe. Was it a bit over-optimistic from me? Maybe. I'll leave that for you guys to decide. I thought I was ahead of him at the corner, so that was my corner. But I can also understand, like, why would you make that move? It's a pretty audacious move to begin with. As we can see, the guy ahead of us here also had a track limits penalty, which just bunches up this grid here. 1.5 seconds basically spread from P1 to P2 to P3. I'm going to make the move on the Corvette. Have a look. Not enough space this time, but he does lose it, which presents the opportunity to go ahead and go around the outside. A little bit of barging on the left rear there, but we get the move done, and it's all about looking forward to P1. What an insane race here. As we can see, the Corvette is literally, the tires must be absolutely dead at this point. I don't know how on earth he even got to this point holding on with his tires, because even with the M6, you look at my tires, I've got a slither of tire left, but not much. One thing, oh, there he literally goes off track as soon as I said that. I didn't even know that he did that. I reckon we're gonna go down to the penultimate lap with no tire. We've got 2 laps to get through without any tire. Oh, guys, this is squeaky bum stuff, this. Proper squeaky bum stuff. We need to use it now. Anything that's left. Yeah, one thing this race has made me realize is that my tire wear and kind of how much wear I induce on the tires is a lot better than the average. I was finding that I was having a lot more tire left at the end of these races, which honestly was a huge dub from my end. As we go into the final few laps here, we're going to go ahead and fast forward it because I was trying to bring back that gap, and you can see the gap coming down. It's kind of ping-ponging around 1.6, and then it will eventually come back down to like a 1 second. Again, another one of those races where if I had an extra lap, I might have been able to go for the P1, but it got to the certain point where I noticed his delta was going up and down, so I just let off. I had a little bit of tire left, and we come home with a P2. P2! Let's go! Let's go! And we beat an A-level driver in that as well. Let's go! A really exciting race, that one. And more importantly, it's going to give us the driver rating we need to go ahead and get into A. We've finally done it. I believe it's been 8 weeks to get to this point, and we've finally done it. Now, the race isn't over. We're going to go all the way to A+. That was the goal I set myself at the start of this series. But it feels good just to even be able to say I'm now an A-class driver. But as Tupac said,
in 2016, on the 28th of May, a gorilla named Harambe will be shot in the Cincinnati Zoo.
Anyway, that's it from me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like, subscribe. I will see you guys in the next one. Stay safe and peace.